The X3 is one of BMW's big sellers, and it's not hard to see why. For one, it's an SUV, which is the form factor of choice for a whole lot of car buyers. Then there's the size. It's large but still manageable, and though it is expensive in absolute terms, in the world of luxury vehicles, the X3 sits in a sweet spot. Question is, can this 4th generation X3 offer enough to interest you? Let's start with the way it looks. Opening remarks, it's not as polarizing as the latest few BMWs have been and will find wider acceptance. There's a link to older X3s in the long bonnet stance and upward sweep of the glasshouse, but the tight skinning devoid of too many cuts and creases is new age BMW. The X3 looks well defined and muscular without relying on overt cues to establish it as such. Not to say that the X3 doesn't have its shouty bits. The iconic kidney grille occupies significant real estate on the nose and for added effect features diagonally arranged bars, and it glows too. The LED outline for the grille might not be to all tastes, but it does give BMWs an unmistakable light signature. The headlamps that slickly sweep back with the bonnet line are also home to cool blue detailing. Notably, India gets the X3 only in M Sport guise. Edgy detailing for the flush set front bumper, side skirts and 19-inch wheels do their bit to up the show value. The new X3 also sports new footwear, ditching run-flat tires for standard tubeless ones. More on that in a bit. The latest X3 positions the rear number plate low down on the bumper, a treatment we'd seen on the X3's coupe cousin, the X4, which interestingly isn't due for replacement with this generation. Chunky taillights that taper as they move inwards give the X3 its distinctive tail end, and what will also grab your attention are the roof spoiler and wind deflector that line the rear windscreen. The latest X3 might not look it, but it has grown a crucial few millimeters in every dimension. It's now marginally longer, wider and taller than its German compatriots, though a Mercedes GLC has the slightly longer wheelbase. Do you like the way the X3 looks, and would it be your pick of the mid-sized SUVs? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Autocar India channel and hit that bell icon to be notified every time we have a new video up. The X3's doors can be locked or unlocked with the standard key, a tap of an NFC card, or a transferable digital key on your mobile phone. In either case, your first point of contact are concealed door handles that are good for aero but don't feel quite as nice to hold as a grab type handle would. You will, however, appreciate how easy the X3 is to get into and the general ambience inside. Of course, you'll find a lot of elements shared with other BMWs, but BMW has done enough to give the X3's cabin a personality of its own. For instance, this textured look on the dashboard top. Now, this is something we've not seen in any of the other models. It's got this fabric-y feel to it. It looks quite unique, but I'm not sure how easy it will be to keep clean in our dusty conditions, but that's something we'll only learn over long-term usage. Now you get 12.3-inch digital dials, a 14.9-inch touchscreen as we've seen on other BMWs, as well as this interactive bar which is part of the ambient lighting package. But perhaps what makes the biggest difference to the X3's interior is the wraparound look, the way the dashboard flows into the doors, as well as this ambient lighting treatment that is very nicely done. You'll actually see the X3's interior in its best light at night. The ambient lighting effect is really cool. Also interesting are the material choices inside. Now interestingly, only the leather on the steering is real leather. Everything else that you see that looks like leather is actually a man-made material. The textured material on the dash I spoke of earlier is made from recycled polyester. But I'm not quite sure of a few elements, such as the cream upholstery will be a pain to keep clean, and these plastics lower down don't feel fitting for a car of this price. Even the island-like panels on the front doors with haptic controllers for side air vent flow and lock-unlock buttons look better than they are to actually use. BMW hasn't held back on equipment though. Now talking of the tech features, the 12.3-inch digital dials are nice and vibrant and also change theme with the different modes. However, they don't offer as much customization as we've seen on the latest lot of Mercedes screens. But what the X3 has going for it is head-up display, and you get a lot of customizations, and that works really well. So you don't really necessarily have to look at the screen at all times. You'll get much of the information in clear sight using the head-up display alone. Then you have the 14.9-inch touchscreen. It runs BMW's latest OS 9 software that we've only seen on the X1 so far. Now it is a very smooth and slick screen, but as we've noted in the past, it is just packed in with way too much. So it's almost like an option overload. Not ideal when you want to quickly get to a feature on the go. Unfortunately, even climate control is via the touchscreen. While the temperature settings are hard-coded onto the main touchscreen, you'll have to go to another additional menu just to access the blower settings, and that is a pain point. The touchscreen is also your display for the crisp 360-degree cameras, as well as augmented reality navigation that overlays directions onto the camera feed, though it only works with the onboard maps. Auto parking is included too, and a highlight in its own right is the 17-speaker 750-watt Harman Kardon sound system. The front seats get my thumbs up because they are adjustable in a whole lot of ways. There is manual adjust for thigh support, there's lumbar adjust on your seat side, there's also side bolstering adjust, which is something healthy occupants like me will find useful. There's also seat ventilation, which is a very handy feature that's been included for India. The X3 does pretty well on in-cabin storage, so you get large front door pockets and there's enough room for a big bottle and a whole lot more. You also get a nice box between the front seats, and it's also home to a 12-volt charging socket. The other interesting element on the X3 is what BMW calls the jewelry case. Now this open storage area is lined by ambient lighting and it looks really nice at night. You have a wireless charging pad, so your phone is in clear sight. There's another bay with two USB Type-C chargers as well as two cup holders, all within easy access. What is disappointingly small is the glove box. Onto the back seat. The X3 is easy to get into, and as you can tell, I'm pretty comfortable on space now. I'm just under 6 feet tall. The front seat is set to my driving position, and I'm pretty well catered to on knee room, enough space to the front seat. Headroom is just about adequate for someone of my height, but average sized adults will be very well catered to. Now, seating 3 adults at the back is possible, but then you also have to contend with this high center tunnel. The seat itself is pretty comfortable. It's nicely cushioned. I like the seat base. It offers more thigh support than the last generation X3 did. The seating position is also pretty comfortable, but the backrest is not adjustable and feels a bit upright for my liking. Now, as for amenities, at the back you get a fold-down center armrest with 2 cup holders. You get large bottle holders on both of the doors. There is a fold-out sunshade, which is a very handy inclusion. There's a dedicated zone for the climate control system for the rear section of the cabin. You also get an accessory iPad mount, which is something a lot of chauffeur-driven owners might make the most of. But if there's one feature that makes a whole lot of difference to the experience at the back, it is this panoramic glass roof. Now, interestingly, BMW says that their data showed that owners like the effect of a glass roof but don't necessarily open it, which is why they've gone for a larger glass area rather than the functionality of it to open and close. There's plenty of space behind the rear seats too. The tailgate opens up to a 570-litre luggage area, all of which is usable. You won't need to strap the spare tyre within the boot compartment, as was the case on the last X3. A dedicated compartment for the space-saver spare tyre under the boot floor has been incorporated. 40-20-40 split seats open up the flexibility to transport oddly shaped items or open up more luggage capacity. Like the last X3, the new model can be had with the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine or a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel. Thing is, the petrol engine is not offered in high-strung 252 HP and 350 Nm 30i form. The new X3 comes in milder 20 tune, which brings power and torque down to 190 horsepower and 310 Nm. The figures are well shy of what competition petrol models offer, which is a shame. Perhaps BMW is saving the hot X3 M50 with its sonorous straight 6 for ardent petrol heads. The 20D diesel featured here is more interesting, if you aren't spooked by the government's anti-diesel stance, that is. The engine makes 197 horsepower and 400 Newton meters, and there's also the helping hand of a 48-volt mild hybrid system that chips in with 11 horsepower and 25 Newton meters under hard load. The X3 diesel's power and torque numbers aren't quite standout figures for this class of SUV. And also, if you've driven an older BMW with a 2-litre diesel engine, you'll miss the spike in the mid-range over here. But that being said, this is a deceptively powerful engine. Sure, it doesn't really push you back onto your seat when you press down on the accelerator, but the build of power is nice and linear, and you'd actually only notice how fast you're going when you look at the reading on the speedometer or on the head-up display. More often than not, on an empty road, you'll be going faster than you think you are. The 8-speed automatic gearbox also plays its supporting role really well, and you really won't find yourself reaching out for the paddle shifters to take manual control. On the occasion that you really need a quick burst of power, you can do a long press on the left paddle, and that'll give you 10 seconds of boost mode, which is all that the engine has to give. The new X3 diesel 7.4 second 0 to 100 kph time actually makes it quicker than the last gen X3 diesel that took 8.65 seconds to 100 kph, as well as the new Mercedes GLC 220D diesel that'll do the 0 to 100 kph dash in 7.8 seconds. The BMW has a slight edge in kickdown acceleration as well. There's a great spread of power, and the ease with which the X3 builds and maintains speed make this a car very well suited to long distance journeys. The other number of interest, 17.6 kpl official fuel economy. What also helps is how quiet the X3 runs. The engine also runs nice and quiet. There is a bit of a gravelly note which you'll only really hear if you make an effort. You won't hear it over the music playing in your car. What's also nice is that road and wind noise are really well contained. We're driving on a concrete surface right now, and that tire roar isn't really a bother on the inside. So refinement on the whole is pretty impressive. The enhanced refinement is complemented by a plusher ride. Now remember the tires that I spoke of earlier in the video. Now they have single-handedly perhaps made the biggest difference to the X3's characteristic. Now run flat tires are typically very firm in their sidewall construction, which means they aren't ideal for bumpy road conditions. The new tubeless tires that go on the X3 are more absorbent, more compliant, and ride comfort has really taken a big step up. The X3 feels more comfortable than the older ones did that always had a bit of a jiggly feel, particularly at low speeds. As before, the X3 gets adaptive dampers, and drivers get two modes to play with. There's comfort mode, which is what you'd want to be in slow speed driving conditions. There's a nice level of pliancy in the ride when you're in comfort, but when you're going faster, you'd want to switch to sport mode. Sport mode firms things up, body control becomes tighter, there's less movement all around, and what that means in effect is that you get greater confidence to carry higher speeds in the corners. But the latest X3 does see a change of character. Now the X3 was always the sportiest driving of the mid-size luxury SUVs. Is that true today? I'm not quite sure if it's as big a distinction as it was before. Now don't get me wrong, because the new X3 drives well, it drives with confidence, it drives with grace, but it doesn't feel quite as pointy as the older X3s did. Will that be a deal breaker for the X3's target clientele? I really don't think so, because this is still a very nice to drive car. You get a good amount of feel at the steering, a good deal of confidence behind the wheel. It feels grippy throughout, so you can really have some fun with the X3 on your favorite driving roads. Stopping power is good, and there's also camera and radar based advanced driver assistance or ADAS features. The X3 comes with a suite of ADAS features, so there's forward collision warning, there's auto emergency braking, you get a lane departure warning, lane keep assist, and the light. Now these features work well enough on well-marked roads, but it's, as with all other ADAS systems, best thought of as an additional safety net rather than something to really rely on. The new X3 range starts at 75.8 lakh rupees ex-showroom India for the petrol, while this diesel comes in at 77.8 lakh rupees. Pricing is at par with the Mercedes GLC, which is currently the mid-sized luxury SUV to beat. The latest X3 does a lot of things right. It's got the right look, it's got wow elements inside, and is rather nice to drive too. However, it's the upped comfort levels that really open it up to a wider buyer base. In effect, BMW has come up with an X3 that's more complete than ever before. Is it the luxury SUV to buy? We'll have to bring the updated field of rivals to give the answer, but the X3 sure is in the fight for top honors.